Hello, welcome. We're talking about how to choose the perfect van for van life in Europe. In the last video, I spoke about van dimensions and what to consider to decide on the right size for your van. In this video, I'll go into more details of the specific van manufacturers, the models they offer, and their costs. I've already mentioned a few models and brands, but here is a comprehensive rundown of what's possible to get new or used in Europe. On the smaller side, and I mean even smaller than L1H1, we have the classic Volkswagen Transporter T4 or the newer T5. The Transporter is a very popular base for building a small to medium-sized camper and day vans, both as self-build projects and for professional conversions. Also, T4 and T5 are the younger cousins of the very famous Westfalia camper. Moving on, we have the Fiat Scudo, Citroen Jumpy, and Peugeot Expert. Fiat, Citroen, and Peugeot all make part of the Italian Savile family and are manufactured together in the same factory. So even if the names of the vehicles are different, they are basically the same exact van. The same is true for brands Opel, Nissan, and Renault, which offer respectively the Vivaro, NV300, and Traffic. Lastly, in this list of smaller vans, there's the Ford Transit Connect. Now, let's take a look at the bigger vans. We're talking about panel vans under 3.5 tons. Why this limit? The main reason is that that's what you can drive with a regular driving license. Also, some roads are restricted for vehicles above this weight. Most, if not all, the vehicles that I'm about to mention offer the whole spectrum of dimensions, not just the standard L2H2, but also L1H2, L2H1, L3H2, and a few more. You can check out my previous video to fully understand these measurements. We can start with the aforementioned Sprinter, a classic choice among people who convert a van to live in it, as well as the Volkswagen Crafter. They used to share the same basic characteristics, but recent models are built in separate factories. They're reliable and have very good dimensions, being less bulky on the outside, but still spacious. Same as the smaller vans, the Savile Group has 4 different brands which produce the same model: Fiat Ducato, Citroen Jumper, or Relay in the UK, Peugeot Boxer, and Ram ProMaster. I would say these are the most common vans found in continental Europe. Some basic considerations: the Savile family gives you the best length to volume ratio. These vans have the least curvy walls, meaning you have more space in the upper part of the van, which gives you more headspace. The Opel Movano is also produced by Savile, but it was previously the same model as the Nissan NV400 and the Renault Master. The American manufacturer Ford also sells a cargo van that is sold in Europe, the Ford Transit. And lastly, the van with the highest overall cargo capacity, the Iveco Daily. I want to spend a minute to talk about engine type and fuel. In Europe, there isn't much of a choice. None of the vans listed can be bought, neither used nor new, with a gas engine, which means that pretty much all the vans you see within Europe run on diesel. Diesel is obviously best for long journeys, but given the current price of it, it's something to keep in mind when budgeting. Some of the panel vans mentioned, for example the new Fiat Ducato or Iveco Daily, can be ordered with a fully electric motor. However, there are a number of drawbacks that need to be considered. Apart from the often mentioned range anxiety, the Fiat Ducato is said to do between 220 and 360 kilometers on a charge. The lack of charging infrastructure in most of Europe and the very hefty price tag, roughly 70,000 euros, there is a more fundamental problem. The weight of the batteries simply does not allow for such a van to be properly converted to a camper van under the 3.5 ton limit. So currently, electric vans are simply too heavy to be converted. These are most of the manufacturers and models available in Europe, but now there are many different factors to consider when deciding on a van between all the options. I will cover a lot of them in the next video, but here I want to mention an important aspect: money. This includes, but is not limited to, initial investment and additional costs. These include cost of ownership, like registration and general bureaucracy, insurance and taxes, perceived build quality, complexity of mechanics, which in turn affects repairability, as well as availability of spare parts. For example, the Mercedes Sprinter is a great vehicle, but it's also usually the most expensive one. And not only is the initial purchase price higher, but spare parts are also more expensive and hard to find. And usually only Mercedes-approved dealers have the official materials and are able to fix mechanical issues. So let's say you break down in the middle of the Slovakian countryside, there is a good chance that finding a way to fix your van is going to be very complicated and therefore very expensive. The Seville family, Fiat, Peugeot, Citroen, being very common and having mostly interchangeable parts, doesn't suffer the same fate. Other examples of things to consider: registration costs are mostly the same for all vehicles, but insurance costs and taxes might be impacted by the age and mileage of the vehicle. Newer diesel engines need a special liquid, for example AdBlue, that eliminates nitrogen oxides emissions, which adds another cost on top of the fuel. In the next video, I will go into more details of different characteristics and factors to take into account, such as the environmental certificate grade required to be able to get into most European city centers, an overview of the things to check when it comes to the technical state of the vehicle, if it's better to get a van with or without windows, stealth, and more.